It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
This is not a political talking point. This is actually about to happen for millions of Americans across the country. They're going to get a letter in the mail from their health insurance plan stating that their monthly premiums are going to go up by hundreds of dollars per month per person. And it'll be because Republicans, having just voted to kick 10 million people off of health care 2 months ago, are allowing the Affordable Care Act subsidies that made premiums cheaper to expire. American families all across the country will have an impossible choice to make. They don't have an extra couple $100. They really don't have that money. Tens of millions of Americans are going to be forced back into the period before the Affordable Care Act, where they'd look at their health care premiums and say, I just can't do it. I can't make my rent or my mortgage, pay my utilities, pay my grocery bills, pay for gas, pay for kids' tuition, pay for my parents, and pay for health care. A lot of you remember that time. And what's going to happen this fall is not a political challenge for Republicans. It is a real challenge for people across the country. Democrats are ready to work with anyone to restore health care for the millions of Americans who are about to get smacked in the face. But that starts with a meeting. It has to start with a meeting. And Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson haven't even asked Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to sit down and discuss this. It starts with a conversation about how to avoid all this pain for millions of Americans across the country.
Yeah, it's Leader Thune. It's Thune. That's his name. That's the guy. Thune and Johnson. Anyway, all he had to say was single mothers and children. If he threw that in there, if he threw single mothers and children in that speech, I guarantee you he would have won 90% of America's, a standing ovation had he thrown single mothers and children in that speech. But since he forgot them, nobody believes him. But he could be possibly telling the truth, but we don't know until that bill passes, and then we find out in 2 years when data shows after this bill versus 2 years from now what the cost of health care is.
Are you concerned about the delays at airports, and how do you see the shutdown?
Oh, sure. I mean, they're all Democrat delays. There are delays at the airport. That's standard. And again, this is something that every day we put forth a bill. It's just a continuation. It's a very simple thing to sign and very simple to do. And I really think that these are people that I think they have nothing to lose. They have a party that's out of control. They have no leader. Nobody knows who the leader is. I look at people with very low IQs like Crockett, this woman Crockett. I never met her, but she's a low IQ individual. I look at AOC talking about how if they want to negotiate, they can come to my office. She's not in that position to do that. And who the hell is she to say that? And then I watch Nancy Pelosi not knowing what to do. I watch.
Are you concerned about the delays at
Hey, I didn't know that this was a Democratic delay, like a Democrat delay. Like, what does that mean? What does a Democrat delay mean? This is a government delay. Every one of you old farts in the government on the Hill debating whether we should have cheaper health care or a big beautiful bill, and y'all not coming to a mutual agreement to fund the healthcare and pass this big old beautiful bill. Because hell, the rich need to get rich and the poor need healthcare. So I don't see what the problem is. I mean, I can figure it out. You know what I mean? But saying this, I think the talking point. I think America is burnt out with the talking points at this point. Like, the Democrats, I don't even know I don't even know, outside of the healthcare part of this bill, I don't even know what their agenda is. I think Democrats actually want to pass the big old beautiful bill. But I think that whatever is in there for the healthcare, it probably don't look good, because no Democrat in any of these videos have said the big beautiful bill was a terrible idea. But they do call it a big old ugly bill, just trolling Trump. They're not saying it's not a bad deal. They're just saying you need to remove that healthcare provision that will end up raising the cost of healthcare, and also Republicans are saying that same instance is to stop migrant workers or immigrants, not migrant workers, immigrants from receiving American healthcare. But mind you, if an immigrant goes to the hospital, I don't think they could just turn them around. They might fix you, but they're gonna kick you out. But I don't think they're gonna turn you around and be like, oh no, you're an immigrant and you don't have insurance. Or so if you are an immigrant and you got insurance, I mean that's not a bad deal, because at the same time, hospitals get paid. Other than that, that's why we got multiple closing hospitals all across the world. And now you see more people going to urgent cares because it's a more cheaper. Mind you, I went to the emergency room a while back. And the only reason why I went to the emergency room is because the urgent care was closed. So I had to go to the emergency room. Boy, you know that emergency bill was high as hell. I was like, damn. I should have just waited till the next morning and went to the urgent care. But I didn't. So I say all that to say this. Like, we need these hospitals open. We need more urgent care facilities, but we need a cheaper and I got real insurance. I ain't got Medicaid. I don't got the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, whichever version you want to say you claim. But no, I don't have that. So I don't know. I'm just saying my shit was high, and even after my deductibles, and maybe that's my insurance, because the open market is coming up soon, and you know what I'm doing? I'm changing my insurance because I don't like the insurance I have, but I have that right. I have a job that allows me to pick my insurance. I don't think every American has that right. And I think that's where it will hurt America. But y'all let me know.
Wow, we now have actual proof that Charlie Kirk was indeed abandoning the pro-Israel cause right before he was assassinated. Charlie just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking about inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied.
Again, this is another one out of order. I don't even know
What is saying is Speaker Johnson doesn't have anybody here working on the appropriations process. You know, it's something that they could be working on for the American people, but aren't. Republicans haven't been here in 17 days?
He's just a puppet of the Trump administration. I mean, when they tell him to jump, he asks how high. I mean, he said today at a press conference that they're working around the clock on some of these issues. There's nobody here. What clock is he talking about? I mean, there's nobody here. I mean, it's pathetic. And I think that's one of the reasons why Republicans are losing in the polls, because people know what's going on. People see with their own eyes. And they're not only not here, I mean, they're on vacation. They're laying on their couch somewhere. And, you know, we should be here working to prevent this shutdown.
Again, Hakeem Jeffrey spoke on this earlier. He said, where are the Republicans? They are missing in action. They aren't on the job. They need to be on the job from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. They need to be in there closing this deal. Somebody need to be bringing them in lunch. Somebody need to bring their kids by so they can kiss the kids or grandkids or somebody. But whatever the case may be, they need to have porta potties outside of the deal, outside of the room, outside of the little hall. What else do they need? They need the little water machines that spray spray the water on them because they get too hot while they in session. They need everything that they could possibly get to keep their asses in those seats until the government is back open. But as many Democrats are saying, is look, the halls are empty. They're not here.
I said, let's see if we can get it all done, because these Democrats are like insurrectionists. Because of the tariffs, because of the election, because of the policy, because of the great big beautiful deal. It's what I added the word great because it really is. It's the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our country. We don't need another bill. I said,
that bill had 5 different names: big old bill, great big bill, the big beautiful bill. Just give it one name so we can all stay on one accord.
let's get it all at once. I was greatly helped by our Speaker, Mike Johnson, and by the Senate. I'll tell you what, John Thune's been, both of those guys have been incredible. And we got a bill passed that I said, let's see if we can get it all done, because these Democrats are like insurrectionists, okay? They're so bad for our country. Their policy is so bad for our country. I said, let's see if we can get it all done and everybody said it's not doable, because it's the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our country, and we got it all done. We don't need anything else. We got everything we want. I said,
again, I think Democrats will be on board with this great, big, beautiful deal. He called it a deal, not a bill no more. It's not a bill no more, it's a deal. But maybe it could still be a bill, go back to being a bill tomorrow. Or maybe it go back to being a big old bill, or a big, beautiful bill, or whatever the bill it is. I think Democrats will be online if we do some health care provisions to that bill. Like I said, y'all need to get y'all's asses to work. Y'all out here golfing and shit. Being at they was supposed to be on the Hill prior to the government shutdown, working on this, but instead they were out golfing, watching the U.S. team golf. You know what I'm saying? Rubbing elbows with other like-minded individuals, like Michael Jordan, who said Republicans wear shoes too, looking ass. So he was down there with all his Republican friends. Listen, man, America, if y'all still sitting back talking about, oh, liberal this and Democrat that and Republican this, it's obviously these two don't want to work together. They don't want to work together. And unfortunately, some people won't get paid because they don't want to work together.
In a stunning domestic spy development last night, Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, headed to judicial.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Of the Trump Republican shutdown, but it's also day 256 of the chaos that Donald Trump has unleashed on the American people from the very beginning of his presidency. Now, earlier today, J.D. Vance said he's willing to come to Capitol Hill to sit and meet with Democrats to try to work this out. We're here. We're ready to sit down with you. Come to Capitol Hill. Here's what you need to be prepared to agree to. We need to address the Republican health care crisis and extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class Americans.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as quick as 1 week.